So, some breaking news coming out of Pittsburgh this morning. The Steelers had to make an emergency landing after their game following Sunday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders in Kansas City. And spokesperson for the team, Burt Layton, posted on social media that everyone on the team plane is safe and they're expecting necessary planes to arrive back in Pittsburgh later today. Some journalists that were on the team plane from KDKA TV, they said that the situation, they had to land just before 5 a.m. in Kansas City. So, since the Steelers were stuck there around 5 a.m., they expected a plane around 11:30. So that's around 6 hours ago that the Pittsburgh Steelers touched down in Kansas City after the emergency landing. Obviously, you kind of have to stay in the plane, and they kind of had to wait there for a while. And now they officially departed from Kansas City around 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So, after being stuck there for 6 or 7 hours, the team emergency landing, it finally takes off and is headed back to Pittsburgh. The team was originally scheduled to arrive in Pittsburgh around 5:30, so you obviously see the big time difference and the delay that happened. Now touching down in Pittsburgh around like 12 p.m. after the plane took off very late because of engine troubles. But since everyone landed safely, veteran defensive tackle Cameron Heyward, he was having a little bit of fun with the situation on social media, and since everyone was safe, he could do that. He was saying and tagging people on social media. He said, "Dang, emergency landing in Kansas City. I think it's due to Micah Fitzpatrick's roughing the passer call." He also tagged Snoop Dogg, saying, "Can you come pick us up on the Soul plane?" Then he said, "Yo, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, we might need a ride to Pittsburgh," because obviously they landed in Kansas City, and Travis Kelce, the whole story about him and Taylor Swift, tagging them saying we might need a ride to Pittsburgh. So obviously Cameron Heyward, he's having fun with the situation. Levi Wallace also posted something when they officially arrived home in Pittsburgh, saying finally home. So this seems like the Steelers are all safe and sound, and they arrive back in Pittsburgh with no real problems. So that's obviously a good thing. Whenever something like this happens, it's always a rare situation where you don't want anything to happen to anyone, especially in these circumstances. Flying at nighttime, it could be hard, but making an emergency landing, obviously that was the best thing for them to do, and arrive safe in Kansas City, and then go from there, switch planes, and then arrive in Pittsburgh not too long after. But obviously, even though it was 7 hours later, you'd rather arrive safely than not safely. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're back on Pittsburgh Steelers soil, and now they get ready for their next game, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time against the Houston Texans. But now, since that's out of the way, let me just review this game against the Las Vegas Raiders and give you my thoughts on this game in a general perspective. I'm not going to go into too much detail about certain aspects, but I just want to cover overall, and then later in the week, I'll cover the game individually in different parts. So, let's start off on the Steelers side of the ball on offense. This was Kenny Pickett's best game of the season so far, and also Matt Canada's best game calling of the season. It still was not great by any stretch of the imagination. Matt Canada called the exact same run play with a fake wide receiver screen about 8 to 10 times. So it wasn't still a great game for the Steelers offense. It was still very much predictable, as many people were saying on social media. Even Le'Veon Bell tweeted out saying the Steelers' offense is really predictable in the play calling. So it wasn't a great game, but it was Kenny Pickett's best of the season. And at least he's making some advances in his game. He was still missing a lot of throws, but he hit a deep one to Kwon Austin. He was hitting his slants a little bit more to George Pickens. Even though some plays it was thrown behind or in front of the wide receiver where it was uncatchable, he still had a good game and a solid game to put the Steelers to victory. They had 2 touchdowns on the day, 235 yards, and completed 16 of 28 passes. So at least it's a little bit of a showing out party for Kenny Pickett, and hopefully he continues to build on this game. This is the second time back-to-back weeks of him hitting a 70-yard touchdown, and he becomes the 4th quarterback in Steelers history to do that in 2 consecutive games. So he does that, and now the Steelers win the game. Najee Harris, this was best his best rushing game, I believe, of the season so far in terms of throughout the game running and not just like one big run. Last week he had that one big run where he broke a lot of tackles to the sideline, but today he was a little bit more consistent, but still we need to see much more from him. He had 19 carries for 65 yards, and that's 3.4 yards per carry. So we need to still see so much more from him and what he could do for the Steelers. But it's still the offensive line that is giving the Steelers problems in the running game. Jalen Warren, he had 8 carries for 29 yards. That's 3.6 yards per carry. So if there's stuck in the backfield and there's free people coming off the edges, like the slot cornerbacks rushing down, and the Raiders are stacking the box against the Steelers, and they have nowhere to run, it's really hard for the running backs to do anything. The Steelers, once again, offense line was not great. It was a complete game where the Steelers were able to get the victory. It was something where the Steelers did just enough to win the game. It was that kind of game. Yes, the Steelers went to a 2-touchdown lead at one point with two two-point conversions, a 16-point lead, but still, it felt low. The Steelers did just enough to win this game on offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball obviously did their thing with the turnovers and stuff like that, but I just want to move over to the receiving before I talk about the defense. So George Pickens, once again, he had a solid game. He only had 4 receptions, but he had 75 yards. And Calvin Austin, he only had 2 receptions, but it was really just one long reception for a 72-yard touchdown. So Calvin Austin, he finally had that game where you know he was going to break off a deep one, where he was going to run right past his guy, catch the ball, and take it to the end zone on a track meet. And he did that, in the middle of the field. That was the good part about it. It wasn't down the sideline. It was attacking cover 2 in the middle of the field, attacking man coverage in the middle of the field. And we always say attack it deep in the middle, and they finally did it to Calvin Austin. Pat Freiermuth, he had 3 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. It still wasn't a great game for him in terms of production. It seems like he rarely got any targets, but when he did, he made the most out of it. So that's obviously a good thing. Now, moving over to the defense side of the ball, like I said, the defense once again did their thing. TJ Watt once again got 2 sacks, and he now has 6 for the season in 3 games. So he's on a really good pace, and maybe even could win Defensive Player of the Year if he stays healthy and continues it. And if he continues on this pace, he'll 100% beat his own sack record and beat 22.5 sacks and break the record. So TJ Watt, he once again does this thing. Marcus Golden, he also had 1 sack. Keanu Benton, he played a really good game as well. He had 1 sack and made multiple plays in the running game. Another guy, I believe, who made a really big impact in this game that not many people are going to talk about is Montravius Adams. He did not show up in the stat book for sacks, but continuously he was in the backfield on running plays. He was swarming the running back and making tackles for loss and just getting and showing a body in the backfield, getting past this guy and making the running back have to make a play and make a cut to get upfield. So Montravius Adams, he did a really good job and a really solid day in the running game and made it hard for Josh Jacobs. And obviously, Levi Wallace, he had 2 interceptions. Patrick Peterson, he had 1 interception. But I'm not going to give those guys credit for that because they allowed so many yards to Davante Adams. Levi Wallace, it seems like every single play he was targeted, he allowed a catch. And now he just made 2 interceptions to make his game look better. So I'm not going to say that Levi Wallace had a great day because he didn't. I'm not going to say Patrick Peterson had a great day because he didn't. Those 2 left the touchdown to Davante Adams, and Levi Wallace led up another touchdown to Davante Adams. So they gave up a lot of points, and then they just got these interceptions where Jimmy Garoppolo just threw the ball up, and it was just right to him. So they did not have a great day by any stretch of the imagination, but a turnover is a turnover. The Steelers win the game, and their offense, their defense, they did just enough to win this game. And now, hopefully, they could build on the momentum of the last 2 weeks against the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football, and build on this game, beating the Raiders on Sunday Night Football, both of them in prime time. Build on that, and now when we face the Houston Texans next week at Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, hopefully they're able to build on the offense and build on the defense success and move forward and keep winning games. But with that being said, let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about the situation, about the Pittsburgh Steelers team playing, having to make an emergency landing in Kansas City? How do you feel about this? And also, how do you feel about the defense? How do you feel about the offense? How do you think the special teams did? Is there one aspect you believe the Steelers could get better in? Let me know your thoughts on this game down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content, analysis, and reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel so you can get notified whenever I post the next Steelers video. Click the bell down below, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.